So I think that Oracle's abilities are actually kind of broken, but this doesn't mean that he is going to have a 60% win rate across all brackets and get picked or banned in every single game. I just mean that if you look at his abilities in a vacuum, they're actually pretty powerful, but the hero itself does have weaknesses to balance him out a bit. So let's take a look at each of his abilities and see how good they can actually be. His first ability is called Fortune's End, and the important part about it for this video is that it applies a basic dispel to the target, and can be used on enemies, allies, or even on yourself. Now what a basic dispel does is it can actually get rid of a surprisingly large amount of debuffs from your allies and buffs from the enemies. And I'll show you a few examples shortly, but it only has a 75 mana cost and a 6-second cooldown, which means you can spam it quite a lot. So here's a few debuffs that it can get rid of from you and your allies. Silencer is Curse of the Silent. Venomancer's Poison Sting and Gale. Invoker's Cold Snap, thank goodness. Death Prophet's Silence, and other types of silence as well. Slardar's Corrosive Haze, and also Bounty Hunter's Track, also can get rid of that. Warlock's Fatal Bonds and Shadow Word. And also works on a few items like getting rid of the slow from Diffusal Blade. Dust of Appearance Reveal. The Silence from Orchid. The Rod of Atos Root. And the Nullify effect can all get dispelled by Fortune's End. And we can also use Fortune's End in a more offensive manner to get rid of buffs that the enemies have on them. For example, if Warlock is using Shadow Word to heal himself and his friends up, you can just get rid of it. Invoker's Alacrity also, thank goodness. Monkey King, once he's built up his Jingo Mastery stacks, you can just get rid of it straight away. Windranger's Windrun. Similarly, Slardar's Guardian Sprint. Even Ursa's Overpower can just be instantly removed. And Omni Knight's ultimate, Guardian Angel, can just be dispelled with a 75 mana cost ability. And also, since it's a root, you can cancel TPs. You can even cancel Yule's Scepter when it lands, it'll instantly bring them back down again. Get rid of Mask of Madness effect and Satanic effect. And if they use Ghost Scepter, you can just get rid of it as well and start attacking them again. And finally, Fortune's End can get rid of rune effects from the enemies, like Arcane Rune, Double Damage Rune, and Haste Rune. Pretty crazy, right? His next ability is called Fate's Edict, and you can use it on enemies and allies as well. It just disarms the target and gives them 100% magic resistance. Comes with a 50 mana cost and only a 7-second cooldown, so also very spammable. Now this is good against enemy right-clickers like Huskar, Phantom Assassin, Clinks, and Troll Warlord. Just use a spell on them when they jump in, and then they can't really do much for a few seconds. They'll just be running around awkwardly looking at you. And it can also be a very good defensive spell as well for your allies. If the enemies have some magic damage nukers, like Lena or Lion, if you have some good timing, you can work out some pretty amazing things. Or if they have some predictive spells that you can kind of see coming, like Skywrath and Necrophos, you can easily just counter their abilities with a little 50 mana cost spell. Pretty neat, I think. His third ability is called Purifying Flames, and it's not as crazy as the other ones, but it still has a very solid ability. And it can be used on allies and enemies alike. When you use it on someone, they take a large amount of nuke damage and then get healed up over a few seconds. Has a 95 mana cost and only a 2.25 second cooldown, so also very spammable. Now the nuke damage done here is quite a lot, it's 360 on max level, and the heal goes up to about a total of 400 HP. So it's a very good ability for both healing and damaging enemies. So you can use it to nuke down your enemies. They probably won't expect that much damage coming from you. And you can also sustain your allies if you combine it with Fate's Edict, right? You can block the nuke damage on your allies and just heal them up in lane. Pretty solid ability. That's all there is for it, really. And finally, his ultimate ability is called False Promise, and this one can only be used on yourself or allies. What it does is it delays all damage and healing done to the target until the end of the duration, and all healing gets doubled as well. The important part though is that it applies a strong dispel to the target, which means it can get rid of most negative effects, most debuffs on your team, which is really strong. For example, it can end most stuns early, like Beastmaster's Primal Roar, you can just end the stun. Also, Batrider's Flaming Lasso, you can break free of the lasso. Similar thing with Bane's Fiend's Grip, just get rid of it. And Legion Commander's Jewel, sadly it doesn't cancel it, but obviously it makes the target not take any damage during the duel, which is pretty neat. And that works if Legion Commander is on your team or against you. You just use False Promise on your ally and it should keep them safe for the duel. there are only really 2 counters to this ability, which is Axe's Culling Blade. If the target is already below the threshold, then he'll just instantly kill you, not much you can do there. And similarly, Ancient Apparition's Ice Blast. If the target again is below the threshold, they're too low on HP, they'll just instantly die to Ice Blast, so not much you can do there when they shatter into a million pieces. So that's all I've got for this one. Hope you've learned something about the hero and maybe have a new appreciation for his skill set. Maybe it'll encourage you to try him out in a few games, because he is really strong and I kind of want to see him played more. But yeah, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, and cheers for now.